Well, folks, this is it. The finale of Hawkeye. The episode clocks in at an hour long. The episode is called So This Is Christmas, matching up with the Christmas week that's coming up. Well, not coming up, it's here this week. And this is the big finale. The episode prior to this one, episode 5, was, a little bit of a slower episode. It was loved by a lot of people. I liked it more when I saw it the second time because I saw it with somebody else. I liked it more then, but the big story coming out of it was the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, was confirmed to be working with what looks to be Kate's mom and hiring the Black Widow to kill Hawkeye. He's now moving from the Daredevil series into the MCU canon, whether it be just Vincent D'Onofrio playing the Kingpin and being a different universe, like a soft reboot, or if it's actually a continuation of Daredevil. That was the big mystery, and we're hoping for a lot more Kingpin with episode 6, but the time has come now for episode 6 of Hawkeye, the big finale. Will it match up to some other finales that Disney Plus has done, or will it be a big letdown? We'll talk about all of that today. I loved the first conversation with Kingpin and Eleanor that we saw in the episode. Even though, maybe it's just me, but did y'all notice that the mouth flaps, like, not the mouth flaps, like, it seemed that there was some dubbing going on, like, the way that Vincent D'Onofrio was doing his voice seemed that they had to retape it. That's the way it came off for me anyways. I don't know. But I really liked Hawkeye sort of, really putting the fear of God into Kate, but now this time finally coming around saying, you're my partner. Like, that was, that's the big sort of payoff that we were waiting for. I was thinking he'd say it later in the episode, but right at the beginning, just to get it out of the way, we got the ball rolling. And just to go back to what I said earlier about the ADR work, it could be that rumor that they had CGI to make him look fatter. He didn't really look like he was, maybe a little bit bigger, but didn't seem that way to me. We then had the conversation with Echo. Of course, Kingpin's been teased this whole time from the very beginning, and that all ties back to the previous episodes and the teases they were giving us. There was a scene where they had Hawkeye making trick arrows, and it reminded me of the scene in Terminator 1 where Kyle Reese is making bombs with Sarah. It kind of gave me those vibes. I do like the scene where kind of Kate tells Hawkeye that he inspired her. Some good acting here. So we get to this big sort of, well, before we get there, we have Kate confront Eleanor, her mom, with the issue with the Kingpin and how her late husband owed him a debt, and Jack's out of prison now. So the whole thing here is that they basically had money problems, so she went to the Kingpin. It just seems like a very basic plot from like a TV show, like, and not a good TV show either, an older TV show. So they had this scene with snipers, like, trying to kill Hawkeye. Yelena shows up. The scuffle in the elevator was kind of fun. In fact, the whole sequence with Yelena fighting Kate was a lot like a Bond action flick. But I found it hard to believe that Kate could keep up with Yelena because she's a Black Widow. Like, that was really odd to me that she had that ability when she doesn't have any kind of training. Like, that took me out of the episode, yo. And the scene with Swordsman, like, slicing up the tracksuit guys was also cool, but just killing people in broad daylight was, again, it was weird. Not a big criticism, but it was weird. Lots of action throughout this episode. So the LARPers getting involved was a bit silly. It did not feel realistic at all or earned in any way. And this show's supposed to be super grounded. This is more of a street level Marvel show. And it just felt very much like just silly. That scene was just silly and stupid. They had Hawkeye wearing the comic accurate suit, which seems to be a new thing that they're doing now. But the mask with the H on top was missing, so it's not really the whole thing. So seeing them doing the Legolas thing was usually cool, like in the previous episodes it was, but when they did it in slow motion, the shots actually took away from it. Like, I liked it better in regular speed because it makes the arrows seem more quick and more deadly. I also did like the tie-in about how they're using Ant-Man's technology to shrink them. I love that. So Yelena finally catches up to Hawkeye. Now we get to the big kind of, central piece of the story. And she's here for vengeance about her sister, which was built up in the Black Widow show. And then while that's going on, we have literally a fight between Kate and Kingpin. So Kate fires an arrow, he no-sells it. Then boom, he gets hit by a car driven by Eleanor. And I'm like very shocked and confused. It's very weird. Kingpin survives it, right? And then kicks Kate's ass. But and he was a total badass in this part, but they could have probably done it better. Then they have a scene. There's things about this episode that piss me off. We're going to get to the big one here in a minute. They have a scene where Yelena whacks Hawkeye with a crowbar in the face several times. And again, Hawkeye's just a regular human. They even reiterate that in this episode. He's a normal guy, and yet he's taking crowbar shots to the face and not being knocked out. I no, like that's bad. That is not good. Yeah, he's a superhero, but he can't take those kind of shots to the face. And a very odd choice. I also did not like Kate beating the Kingpin in the fight. Like, dude, this is gonna piss off a lot of people, especially considering what was built up before. Um, they have the Echo story here, which is gonna build up to her show, but I honestly don't even care because it wasn't even necessary. And then that would lead to what happens here, at the end. But before we get there, so Eleanor explains her choice, and again, it was like a plot from a sitcom. Hawkeye explains to Elena about Natasha, like what happened in Endgame, pretty much with trying to get that last Infinity Stone, and it was definitely something the character needed to hear to bring closure. Florence Pugh did well, and of course she'll be back for the new Avengers show, I'm sure, as the new Black Widow, alongside Kate, the new Hawkeye. That seems to be the story. The new, well, I mean, like the Young Avengers like movie whenever they get there. It's gonna be down the road. But it was also weird that she didn't believe him and then she did believe him. Like, okay, it was almost too easy. Um, this was the most eventful episode of Hawkeye. I'm going to talk more here in a minute, but not even close to being the best finale of any of the Disney Plus shows. In fact, this is probably the worst finale. This was, in my opinion, the biggest disappointment in the Disney Plus history. Maybe even in all of the MCU when you think about how it was built up. Okay, so the scene with Kingpin and Echo. Kingpin confronts Echo in the alleyway. Echo fires a gun and shoots him and blows his brains out. It was shocking. Now you have to understand. Apparently in the comics, this also happened and Kingpin did survive. So it does not mean that Kingpin died, but I also feel like he was treated like pretty much an overblown jabroni. Like in the first half of the episode, he's built up, and then by the end, it was just, that's it. Like, and I'm not saying he actually is dead. He might still come back. Who knows? I think he will, but it's just not a good way to treat that character. Maybe he'll come back and face Echo in her show. I really don't know. And then the big ending is that Hawkeye makes it home for the holidays to wrap up his story. There is a mid-credit scene where they show like the little performance of the Avengers musical from the first episode, and that's it. No tease for anything else, nothing for Phase 4. That's it. This show, I'm gonna do a review on the whole show at some point, but after watching this episode, the entire show felt like a waste of time. The entire 6 episode run was to get Kate over as a new future Avenger, and I'm not sure it was even needed. You could have just had her show up in a future movie and help out, and that's it, and just maybe have one small flashback with her and Clint. This entire show was totally unnecessary. You can skip this show, honestly, tell your friends to skip it, and this episode was a huge letdown. Like, it was built up. I thought we were going to get more Kingpin. Not enough Kingpin, and what we did get was really disappointing, dude. Like, very much a letdown. He did not seem menacing at all, except for, like I said, a few scenes at the beginning. But halfway point, it didn't even matter anymore. Some of it was really silly and contrived. Some of the powers, the fighting differences between Kate and the Black Widow and Yelena was kind of stupid. The LARPer showing up was bad. Like, they literally, it's kind of shocking to say this, but they literally almost sought out to make the worst finale they could have made, and they succeeded. Like, truthfully speaking, like, because they usually never fuck up this bad. Usually they make a couple mistakes, like WandaVision, a couple mistakes here and there, but it still was able to, it gave us a story and some closure. Here, it's like, okay, we didn't really get Kate over as the new Hawkeye. Hawkeye's still around. There's no looming threats on the horizon. There's nothing really to look forward to. It was just, what is the point of this show? What was the point of this show, dude? And this episode, I didn't like it. I'm sorry, I did not like this episode. It made Hawkeye feel like a waste of time. Big thumbs down for me. I really hope they get their shit together for the future of the Disney Plus shows, because this was a huge letdown. It really fizzled quickly, yo. There were other episodes that were a lot better than this one. This episode was it tanked for me. I'm sorry. Anyway, those are my thoughts. That's what I think. It's just disappointment. What do you think? Let me know, and whatever, yo. We'll talk soon.